where it's like after you graduate from finishing the ticket writing, or at least it wasn't this branch. And he would call out to the booth, like, hey Taylor, we got a really rowdy one here on line 2. Can you pretend manager for us? Like, and I love it was so much fun to be pretend.
I like to think you did accents for no reason.
Hello. Yeah, and he would just do shit like answering the phone. Taylor, manager of the airport. And they'd be like, I was just talking to someone, and they are not refunding the $40 you owe me. And then I would just like make up managerial protocols a lot of the time. I'd be like, we have something called the T2 form. You're going to want to dial him back. Make sure you get that. That's called a lost item form. Now you're going to transition that from me to the actual airport security. They know exactly where to file. A lot of this is just buying time for the manager to figure out that. So you're going to call them, ask about that, and then you bring us back and make sure you have your, and then just list off a couple, your insurance card number, your just stuff to slow them down, to make it so we can actually find what they lost or get what they need. Send these people on goose chases. Absolute goose chases to find all these things, and then usually by the time they got back, they'd be like, "Oh, it's all. You don't need any of that. It's all sorted. It's all." And other ones, the most fun one of those, there was this like really effeminate, short, fat guy who he came in right into the front and he said, "I reserved a Chevy Tahoe, and I don't see a Chevy Tahoe. I just walked your lot." He gave me that head shaking, that kind of sense. I just walked your lot. I reserved a Chevy Tahoe, and it is not there. Do I need to go to a competitor? Do I need to call my friend who is a lot higher up here in you at this company? Do I need to do that? Do I need to do it? And I remember doing pretend manager, and I was like, "Sir, you're acting erratic. Have you been drinking?" There were other people in line. He's like, "The fact you would even ask that says more than enough. I'm definitely ringing it. I'm ringing it." I'm like, "Sir, as far as we are as a company, I'm sure you know a lot of people who are high up here, and I respect that. You've just come in here in a way that I no longer feel secure renting our property to you. I apologize. If you'd like, I could follow you a path and get you where you need to be. It's just our property and yourself, sir, for your own safety. I don't know if we feel like that's right." And like keep it way tamped down so that the comparison between us is extreme, that anyone around is observing that I am the one who's right. And so, oh man, if I could go back there for a day,
I hate you.
all I would do is be end manager.
I just came here to get my Tahoe, and it's not here.
Sir, are you on any drugs right now? Because you're acting very erratically. Is that a blade you have?
Is it a blade? He's got a knife. He's got a screaming there.
I feel like I smell alcohol and pot on him.
I think I smell. Is that plastic explosive? Do you have
Prove I don't
plastic
smell it.
explosives?
Let me tell you why, though, he was freaking out about the Tahoe. Because I told him, you only reserved a class of car. You didn't reserve a Tahoe. We're giving you a Suburban, or whatever the equivalent was. And he would not take it. He refused. He thought I was lying about going out there. And so he went and walked the lot, which took him fucking idiot, way too long to walk the entire fucking airport lot and then come back and get mad. And so it was definitely his fucking fault. He could have just taken the Suburban and left instead of screaming at me in front of.
You should have leaned in close and whispered that to him.
Yeah, and I still remember the person who came, and what ended up happening in the end, it was all fine. He ended up calming down, and then the actual manager, who I said was the branch, the higher manager, he
This is Mr. Hertz himself!
And then hey, suddenly when you tell someone you're not getting a car, suddenly the Suburban seems like a great idea, doesn't it? And he was more than happy to take that Suburban by the time it was done. And literally the next lady in line, or it was maybe a couple after, because there were dozens of people in line as we're having this frustration, were like telling me, "I'm so sorry." Like, I'm so sorry.
We're such fucking sheep.
Yeah, don't be sorry. I was actually sorry. That went perfectly.
Oh, I didn't smell anything. To be honest, I have a Suburban, a Tahoe. I got all kind of shit back there. I just have a little fun.
The secret is I did smell whiskey, but that was me.
I mean, I'm drunk as shit. And I'm high.
I smell my own breath.
To be honest, I crashed the Tahoe last night, and that's why it's not available.
I'm going to the funny ones, but for every one of the funny pretend managers, genuinely, there were 20 times that I handled an actual problem way fucking better than my managers, just because I wouldn't get all sheepish or I wouldn't get all like flustered and yell like a couple of them would. So,
What's wrong with
yeah,
sheepish though? Like, I know when I had people do customer support at WoodyCraft, I had to get people off of that job or because they try to win at customer service. And it's like, no, winning at customer service is when the customer walks in the cat. That's how this is done. You know, if you battle this guy in some sort of argument and you clearly come out on top, great. That doesn't help the WoodyCraft at all. That sucks.
See, the thing was, like, at least in this business, it was like, if you're too sheepish, like some sales or managers people were, like, you would get bullied into renting a car with a Tahoe for $19 a day. And then it's like, we're hemorrhaging money because like, people are getting mad. And so that's like the level of sheepish I'm talking about. Managers stop.
But who cares about the bottom line?
I don't care. I just don't want to get yelled at by the area manager. This fucking weirdo was the area manager. I remember being so strict you had to shave every day. And you
I remember that.
Yeah. And I remember there was one, me and my buddy, we worked at the insurance replacement branch at this point, and it was the redheaded stepchild of the entire area. He never came to our branch because it was a shithole. There weren't enough chairs for all the employees. We had to stand most of the time. We got so bored in the middle of that warehouse.
Chair.
I'm saying we got so bored in the middle of this warehouse, you know, those bays, that I ordered off Amazon a cheap hockey net and some sticks. We would just play hockey in there sometimes when it was slow. But this guy, me and my buddy Sean, who worked there, both of us were low little underlings, and we had waited 3 weeks without shaving. It was a game for us to like play, you know, chicken and see how long we could go. And so like I'm for weeks now, no fucking tie, sleep up, beard, don't fucking care. And then there was one time where I wasn't paying attention. I was just sitting like doing something on the computer, and then the area manager comes in. He goes, "Well, hey, Taylor." I was like, "Hello." Full beard, sleeves up, shirt's dirty, no tie.
I'm not Taylor. This is guys.
Medic, please. What are you doing? I was like, I was doing callbacks for to do cars. And he's like, yeah, are ya? And I was like, yeah. He's like, haven't shaved in a while, have you? And this guy was such a passive-aggressive fuck. He would never actually call you out. He would just make little office space like, Ron, we're gonna need you to shave that on Monday. If you could do that, that'd be cool. And so then I figured, this bitch is never gonna get onto me for anything, and so I can just do whatever I want as far as not shaving and rolling my sleeves and not wearing a tie. And so that's what I did.
Throwing a ball.
So other than that, it was a great employee.
That's a long list of facts.
Yeah, you've been going for 35 minutes. This was a deposition.
Hey, Pretend's manager was a good bit, and I'm never back home. It was mostly helpful. It was mostly helpful.
I think helpful for you passing the time, but as far as
When you worked your 60-hour plus a week, how many hours did you work?
I never really counted like the driving time as working that much because that was so easy. But other than that, like you're fucking standing, typing tickets and doing back stuff the entire time. You're doing shit. And then like managers pass stuff off, and so they'll be like, "Hey, we got a." And then sometimes, oh, it was fun when you got to do this. They'd be like, "All right, we got a red minivan." I had to do this a couple times. There was this dirt poor trailer park in rural Idaho, and they were like, "All right, well, it's been 4 weeks since we've seen this this Chevy. Who wants to go out and take a look? Who wants to go drive the trailer park and ask around, see if they know where it is?" And I would always be like, "Yes, this is so cool. I want to do that." And so I'd drive around in the trailer park, and like if anyone was standing, I'd be like, "Hey, have you seen a red, really new-looking van recently?" And like it was like sleuthing. I never actually found any, but it was fun.
I didn't expect it to be such hard work. My impression was that planes roll in, sprint for 15 minutes, and then wait an hour. But I guess not.
It was like they would have you short staffed. They'd be like, all right, plane's coming in. You're gonna be busy for 40 minutes writing those, and as soon as you're done, you bust your ass down to the wash bay and you start washing cars. And so I've washed, even wearing your suit, I washed thousands of cars.
I didn't know the people at the registers wash cars when I
It's
wasn't
such
there.
bullshit.
Forced to wash the cars because the car preps down there don't give a shit. They never see the customer, and so like they'll do a half-ass job, and then
They
like
weren't
you'll
caring like you were.
I care. I want to get yelled at by the customers and stuff, and I did. To be fair, every branch I worked at, their like score of customer satisfaction, the time I joined to the time I ended went up significantly. So I did fucking help, and I did work hard at those jobs. I really did, because I would. You've been in a situation where you feel like enough people aren't busting their ass that it motivates you to bust ass, where it's like, what am I, like one of these people? Like one of these lazy fuckers? No, I'm at work. I'm gonna fucking work. And so, but those days would come and go. Some days you get berated by enough people at 11 a.m. You're like, I'm just gonna go lose myself at the Mexican bistro upstairs for a while and hope nobody asks me.
It takes me 35 minutes to poop. Nothing I can do. I'll be back.
Oh,
I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'd just go out in the parking lot and fall asleep in a Suburban for an hour or so.
There was a guy that got
Did that
fired because he did it every day for like a month.
I did it a lot. You know, I had a hard time getting my sleep in at night. We were always partying. We'd be up until 3 a.m. and then have to be at the work at like 9 or I don't know, maybe 8:30. Around 11 a.m. I just go out in the lot and find something comfy to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't get away doing nothing because they would keep like a tally of how many tickets or contracts. But I even at one point, he's like, Taylor, your sales are terrible. Are you even asking to sell insurance anymore? And I told him, this is the one who asked me to be pretend manager all the time. And he's like, yeah, but at least ask. And I was like, you could do it this way. Our customer satisfaction is skyrocketing. Why? Because we're moving so much faster out of here. So you got 4 people working tickets trying to sell, and we're writing 200 to 400 tickets a month. Then you got me banging them the fuck out over here. You got insurance, hell yeah, and I've got the line moving. I'm writing thousands a month, just tearing through this. So I didn't think he would buy that, but he did. So I didn't have to sell him. But I helped the customer satisfaction. So don't work at a rental car place unless you just out of college or you luck out because it sucks. Just steal.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned it on PKA. This happened. I had friends in a couple of years below me in high school, and they had a senior prank where my grade, we didn't do shit for a senior prank. Like it was almost like everybody was on the same page, where it was like, are we allowed to go? 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 Yes, we're done. All right. Everybody just left. And this class, it wasn't even a lot of them. It was a group of guys. They went into the school at the same time that one fucking Instagram guy's working out, and went into the library and stacked up all of the chairs on top of the tables and knocked a bunch of books down, and then like put all the books in the wrong places and did stuff that was like, and I mean, decimal system, that takes a while to get those things fixed. So like they like cards and like fucked with them, and just were rabble rousers, like piled up a ton of that. No, that's not what they did. They didn't put the chairs on top of the table. They piled up every single library table and chairs in front of the only entrance to the library, like it was a Walking Dead scenario to try and blockade it. And this old ass librarian came in. And that morning, and she was so distraught that she just like collapsed weeping over the state of this library. And it was not at all the tone that the prank was going for. And so instead of it being like crap scallions, it was like and like all the teachers are comforting this lady, and they got in a lot of trouble, and they had to volunteer in the library for like a couple weeks after they graduated, which doesn't seem like you are even allowed to do that, because that's just stealing labor from children, right? Like, or not children technically, but whatever. I thought that was a little bit mean-spirited. But most of them.
Did what? as Taylor was laying it, I'm like, that's not even funny. That's just vandalism. Like they didn't strike me as funny. I wouldn't have predicted that people would be like, ah, good one. Like,
From what was relayed to me of the group that was there, like 8 or 9 guys. Some of them were more in the cranky mood. Of like, let's pile all this stuff up. It's gonna take forever for him to move the tables back. And other people were in the fuck this bitch, I'm outie, mode where they're just like ruining the dude's system and hiding books behind other books and that thing. But it wasn't a great vibrant book.
Must have been so good.
Checkers is a game that's humiliating to get beaten badly, because it's like, oh man, this isn't really hard at all. Also, Connect 4. Losing badly at Connect 4, I played with my girlfriend at like one of those giant ones at a bar a couple nights ago, and we were like dropping the big plastic discs in, and she won in 4 moves, and I had the
Wait! So you just set up a ramp for her with your 3 moves?
half just not being that smart and just messing it up, and then I have to be like, actually, I'm just bored by this. Let's go play darts instead of because you can admit
She
you're
would have
dating a
liked it.
retarded person. It's like, oh, losing in 4 moves in Connect 4.
That's that's kind of funny.
Humiliating.
Like, but I'm thinking about what your 3 moves had to be, right? Like, she put 1 down, you put the block so she could go above it, and then you put 2 blocks so that she could, do. I'm assuming she won angular, but that's not necessarily true.
I think it was just flat. I think it was just flat. And I'm not going to pump my own tires on that, but yeah, it was tremendously dumb. To lose that fight.
I hope there were a lot of spectators. That makes it better. Like the whole bar.
Alone in there.
Who's this retard?
That's so nice of her to volunteer.
Yeah. It was kind of impolite of her to take advantage of him like that. The guy's clearly handicapped.
Eating that retarded man. They Connect 4.
4 moves.
God, look at the size of that guy's head. Wow.
I hit that pig with nothing inside.
Those enormous candies you buy. It's just a shell.
I wonder if his ears fart.
Yes.
I'm a grenade.
What's the coolest story behind something you own?
First story.
The coolest story.
I bought a. This is the past, but when I was 16, I was still. I'm 25. I'm still in the midst of this. My Lord of the Rings obsession. That they made 500 replica Witch King helmets. The Witch King. The Witch King was the Lord of the Nazgul. If you don't know who they are, they had. I could list some of the Nazgul right now, but they had this. The Witch King had this giant helm that you'll see in the movies when the Witch King of Angmar. The Witch King of Angmar, and he had this giant helmet, and I bought it, and it was something that I had it bought for me rather. And when you put it on, it was heavy. Like, it was fucking heavy. It was something that only a mighty man could wear while he was fighting. And I went to college, didn't think about it. I just thought, when I go home, my Witch King of Angmar helm will still be on its display case above my bed, because that's where it was. When I slept in my big bed, I had a queen-size bed, and it had a big, like, kind of armoire-style thing around it, and it had a big shelf behind the bed. And I had my Witch King of Angmar head right there. And I was like, all right, I don't need to bring that to college. I don't want to turn off the girls right away. I'll slowly introduce them to my Lord of the Rings obsession.
I can just imagine you like bringing the girl back to your dorm room and be like you put it on and be like,